Credit crunch hitting millions. The worst financial crisis since the Depression. Families face being thrown out on the streets. The end of the good times.
You can't escape the headlines or the economic pain. But who is to blame? It's not rocket science, is it? This is the fault of the greedy banks and of the Conservative and Labour politicians who've turned the City of London into a giant gambling casino by abolishing the sensible regulations that kept the greed of the financiers under control. But now their giant get-rich-quick house of cards is collapsing all around our ears. The banks are running cap in hand to the Labour government to bail them out, with our money. This is the biggest rip-off in Brown's rip-off Britain, and that's saying something. The political elite and their bankster friends have come up with a new scam now. Banks operating on a comfortable seesaw of privatised profits, followed by socialised losses. We pay them direct when they make a profit, and the government gives them our taxes when their incompetence and greed lead to enormous losses. Up or down on the seesaw, they grind us into the dust. Just look at the Northern Rock shambles, and there's plenty more bank failures in the pipeline. You can rely on it. It's effectively nationalised when it's losing billions, but will be handed back to the private sector if it starts to make money out of us again. Meanwhile, it's predicted that millions of families will be saddled with the misery of negative equity by next year, with hundreds of thousands facing repossession and eviction from their homes. This bank-induced economic crisis is going to be made even worse by peak oil. The fact that, after more than 100 years of growing access to cheap energy, global oil production has peaked and is now in irreversible decline. Soaring electricity, gas, heating, fuel and food prices are only the start. We are now entering the age of scarcity. There's not time to explain now, although I'd like to challenge the BBC to give us just one edition of Panorama to tell you just how big a threat to all of us this really is. But don't hold your breath. Google BNP peak oil to learn more. As a long-termist party, we've been warning about this for more than 5 years. The others are just starting to wake up, but they still seem incapable of finding positive solutions, and instead run around using global warming as an excuse to pile up even more taxes on top of ordinary people like you and me. By happy contrast, here's what the BNP would do about the twin credit crunch peak oil crisis. We'd turn Northern Rock and other failing banks into the National Reconstruction Bank, a banking system that serves the people and productive industry instead of all of us being the serfs of the banksters. It would reassess mortgage debts and keep families in their homes, using the money from their monthly payments to finance a massive energy-saving programme, starting with the free insulation of all homes. Longer term, our National Reconstruction Bank would invest in rebuilding productive industries here in Britain. We'd become world leaders in the high-tech, renewable energy sources which the whole world is going to need so badly in the years ahead, and for which they'll be willing to pay our businesses and our workers very well. Of course, this isn't something that local councillors can do much about. British National Party candidates are worth supporting mainly because they're good at getting things done for their wards, and have to work doubly hard for their constituents because they're so often under hostile media scrutiny. But a big BNP vote will also show the Labour government, in fact the whole PC political elite, that together we've had enough of their high-tax incompetence. Our local councillors will push too, encourage transition town initiatives to help reduce energy guzzling at community level, save farmland and keep down traffic congestion by opposing greenfield housing developments, support local businesses and communities resisting proposed supermarkets, provide new allotments rather than building houses on existing ones or on playing fields, make buses and trains safer and more attractive with more conductors and transport police. Such common-sense local actions to decrease our dangerous dependence on oil and expensive imported food are just the start. We're working out a full programme to speed and ease the transition of our country to the post-peak oil era. As long as we face it together, there's nothing to be frightened of in this inevitable new world. In many ways, it can be better. The end of globalism will see stronger local communities and environmental renewal for a start. We can rediscover good quality food from local producers, instead of tasteless GM rubbish flown from halfway around the world. There will be a reduction in the cancers and diseases brought on by the stress and junk lifestyles of the last great capitalist boom and bust. That bust is the inevitable result of decades of short-sighted internationalist policies from the old parties of government. What is not inevitable is the deep and endless economic slump and the environmental and social disaster into which their short-sighted answers will plunge us all, if we stand by and let them. There is a better way, a way forward that will give our children and grandchildren a sustainable future, a way ahead that will cherish and nurture our green and pleasant land, the British National Party way.